Hey, this is Greg Berger, and you are listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Today on episode 92 of the Cinema Geeks,
we take a look back at our April predictions.
We discuss the best and worst trailers to debut over the past couple weeks.
And we take a look ahead at what the month of May has in store for us.
All that and more coming up on episode 92 with the Cinema Geeks.
That's right, it's episode 92 of the Cinema Geeks. I am one of your Cinema Geeks, Optimus Solo. Joining me, as you heard in the intro, is, of course, Movie Revolt Dan. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
It's not going too shabby here. And Hard Candy Mandy.
Oh, hey.
Oh, hey. And Fridley Scent. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. All right, so we're here today, like we've done a couple times here, to do a month preview. We're going to look back at April. We're going to look ahead at May. We're going to make some silly predictions. We're going to check the leaderboard to see who's made the best, who's the most Nostradamus-like amongst us. And Matt, your first venture into making predictions. How are you feeling?
Well, this seems like a terrible month for it, but...
For certain categories, I struggled mightily, and we will get to those for sure. But before we get to the May and the new predictions, we'd like to take a look back first at April. So let's do that first, and we'll start that by looking at the box office. And going into this one, the standings were as follows. Amanda, you were leading the way with 3 points, and Dan and I were tied for second with 2 points. So a relatively close race so far when it comes to box office points. As far as the picks to click from April, Dan, you picked Jungle Book, and it's made $255 million so far.
Not too shabby.
So I think that's safe to say that you were successful in your prediction that would click with people out there. I think it's number 4. It's either number 3 or 4 on the year so far. So nothing slowing down Jungle Book so far, so you get a point there. Amanda and I doubled down on Huntsman Winter's War.
Not a good idea.
Not a good idea. I thought there was more hype behind this than apparently there was. I thought with the cast additions that there was going to be a crowd that would go see this. It's not the case. So far it's at $34 million. I think it's budgeted at 100 and something, 120, 150 million. So it's not going to make that back. So we will both take the goose egg on the picks to click. So congratulations, Dan. The only one that knew which movie was going to make money.
Always bet on Disney, I guess, you know. Disney and talking animals is cash money. So.
As far as our bets to bomb from last month, Dan, you picked Mother's Day. Obviously, that one's one that was just released late in the month, but only opened with basically $8 million so far. Its budget is $25. Not going to be a huge moneymaker. I think that's safe to say. I think we're going to award you the point on that one. $8 million on a $25 million budget.
You know, it wasn't a good sign when they weren't opening Mother's Day on Mother's Day weekend. So.
That is for sure. Amanda, you picked Hardcore Henry. You were going with the idea that a lot of people would probably be afraid to venture into that one because of the fact that they might leave sick or leave in the middle without being able to finish that one.
There's even a disclaimer at our theater, at the ticket counter.
And that one's just like Mother's Day. It's made $9 million. The difference is it's been out for more weeks than Mother's Day. I think it's in its 3rd weekend so far. Even though its budget was only $2 million, so I guess financially it was a success. But Dan, what do you think on that one? $9 million through 3 weeks?
I think if you count marketing was more than $9 million, so I would consider that a bomb because I think they were hoping for more for that. They were hoping more of a surprise hit or something.
Yeah, they were really trying to play that angle and the style that it was going for, and think that it was going to be kind of like a. This is a bad comparison, but it almost reminds me of like when Blair Witch came out, and they're like, oh, this is something you haven't seen before, and we're going to try to like buzzsaw this and get people excited about it real quick. So not the case. A lot of people stayed away from Hardcore Henry, and I picked Criminal. And so far that's at $12 million on a budget of $31 million, so it has not even got halfway to its budget, and that one's been out for a little while now. So I think we'll award all three of ourselves points for the bet to bomb, and move on to our wild card picks. Dan, you said Huntsman was going to have a lower opening than the original Snow White and the Huntsman, if I remember correctly. Huntsman Winter's War opened at $19 million, and Snow White and the Huntsman opened at $56 million. So we should have listened to you when you were doing your... We should have let you do your wild card first before we had to do our pick to click, I think is where we screwed up there. So
I tried to warn you.
So clean sweep for Dan, all three of them correct. Amanda, you had Boss making more than Keanu.
I had a lot of hopeful picks here. If you would not notice
well,
that before,
I mean,
you should now.
Granted, Keanu just came out, so it has had much less time. But even if you take the opening week, the Boss in its opening week made $23 million, and Keanu only made $9 million. So even if it does have some legs, I think that you're gonna come out on top with Boss making more than Keanu. So we reserve the right to reverse this point later, but for now we'll give you the point. And my prediction for the wild card was that the last weekend in May, which would be Jungle Book's third weekend and Huntsman's second weekend out, that they would remain in the number 1 and number 2 spot. And this past weekend, Jungle Book remained at number 1, and Huntsman was barely at number 2. So I think it was less than $1 million away from Keanu. So I didn't win by a lot, but they are in the first and second spot. So if we're reviewing the standings after this round, Dan, you gained 3 points. So you're sitting atop the leaderboard at 5 points, tied with Amanda. And I added only 2 points, so I will be trailing you guys with 4. So Dan, Amanda at 5, me at 4. We'll have to see what May does to break that tie. We kind of give away a little bit of it, but looking at the month overall and the box office numbers, obviously Jungle Book was reigning supreme at the best moneymaker of May. Dan, do you have any guess as to what came in second?
Wow, second place. Man, was it Boss? I don't know.
It was The Boss, yes. The Boss making $56 million so far, followed by Barbershop, The Next Cut, at $45 million, and that is why Huntsman is a bomb, because it couldn't beat Barbershop. Huntsman Winter's War comes in at number 4 at $34 million. The only other ones above $10 million were God's Not Dead 2, Criminal, and Keanu. That is the moneymakers for May. So after we've heard all of that, Matt, and you've gotten to see how our predictions from last time went, before we get to our new predictions, how are you feeling about kind of jumping in the deep end here and making some predictions with box office stuff?
Well, I can at least do better than saying Huntsman's going to do well. I can do at least that well.
Ouch. Too soon. We're still stinging from that one. All right, so let's go ahead and get into our May predictions. Matt, we're going to let you go first. Do you want to start with a pick to click, a bet to bomb, or your wild card?
Can I just do the softball one?
Sure.
That Captain America is going to make, all of the money?
So pick to click for Captain America Civil War. I think that's a safe bet, and I'm going to join you in that, and I will pick Captain America Civil War as my pick to click as well. Dan, are you going on a different path, or are you going to join the crowd?
You know what? Just to be fun, I'll say X-Men Apocalypse, I like to diversify the comic book picks, so,
It's going to make whatever money's left.
They're all going to make money, so,
Yeah. Amanda?
I'm going to think outside of your comic book box and say Alice Through the Looking Glass is my pick to click.
All right, so a lot of big budget movies, obviously, as you're hearing, come out in May. Dan, go ahead.
And they're coming out the same weekend, so there you go.
Yeah, you guys are going to be
head
going
to
head after Matt and I have been watching for a couple of weeks.
It's going to be an arm wrestle to the death.
Well, I have Apocalypse.
I'm going to turn my hat backwards. It's going to be on.
Are we arm wrestling for the custody of Kevin? Is that what's going on?
Nobody wants that.
I win that 9 times out of 10. I'm going to win that.
All right, Matt, where are we going next? Bombs or wild cards?
Oh, man. This is where things get a little more complicated. But I've got a wild card one that I kind of just want to be my wild card every time I pick, which is that I'm going to say Captain America is going to have a better opening weekend than Batman vs. Superman.
You want to do that every month with some
Just
movie?
something is going to be better than Batman v Superman.
Nice. Amanda, we'll let you go next on this one. What's your wild card?
My wild card, Shiza. I think walking on the wild side here, but we're going to say Neighbors 2 outperforms The Nice Guys.
Really?
Yes.
I could see that going either way. That's a hard one to judge. Maybe a different crowd slightly, but all right.
I'm out on a limb for every single one of my picks here, so just go with it. Whatever I say, just go with it.
All right, we're going with it. Dan, what about your wild card?
Man, I want to say that last month I did the opening weekend comparison. I'm going to continue that trend as well and say X-Men Apocalypse makes less money its opening weekend than X-Men Days of Future Past.
All right, so not as strong as the previous installment in the franchise.
Yeah.
Anything backing you up? Is it the initial reaction to Apocalypse that you're thinking is going to wane a little bit on the hype for that, or is it going against Captain America?
I think it's it's a little long in the tooth of the franchise. I don't feel the hype as much. You don't have the cast of Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart within this one, and it's also going up against Alice Through the Looking Glass, so more competition its opening weekend. So I think it's going to hurt it in the long run.
All right, we'll have to wait and see towards the end of May if that plays out like that or not. For my wild card, I'm going to try to stick with an April release, but make it a May prediction. I'm going to say that Jungle Book does not fall out of the top 2 before the May 20th weekend. Whoa. So I'm giving it multiple more weeks at the either number 1 or number 2 spot. So I think Captain America will take it from him, but I'm gonna try to hope that it lasts another weekend or two and stays in the number 2 spot. So a long reign atop the box office for Jungle Book, I guess, is my basic prediction for that. All right, Matt, that means we are back to you, and I think this is the hardest round of a prediction we've done so far this year, trying to figure out which movie is going to bomb in May. So, Matt, you're first.
The Darkness?
Are you asking?
Yes. That's I don't know, man. A Kevin Bacon horror movie in the middle of May. That's the only one that seems even a little bit like it's gonna bomb.
Well, have you not seen anything else scary with Kevin Bacon in it?
I saw Hollow Man. That's probably the last horror movie I actively watched.
Footloose?
A Stir of Echoes was amazing. I don't know when that came out, but it was probably one of the scariest horror movies I've seen.
This is such a hard category this time because it's real hard to. You can't really go with for a bet to bomb. You can't really pick like a limited release or something that's going to be very small because it's. What is it bombing, really? So if you look at the major releases for May, we have Captain America Civil War. We know that's not going to bomb. We have The Darkness, which Matt just picked. Money Monster with George Clooney and Julia Roberts.
I was going to say.
Okay. You have the Angry Birds movie, Neighbors 2, The Nice Guys, Alice Through the Looking Glass, and X-Men Apocalypse. Like, none of those necessarily scream like it's going to be a bomb. Which one did you say, Amanda?
Moneymaker.
Moneymaker? Money Monster?
Yes, Money Monster.
It's not going to be a moneymaker?
Yeah.
Okay. Any reason for betting against George Clooney and Julia Roberts? I mean, old people love these guys.
Yeah, I think that old people love these guys. So, those Monday matinees... You
don't think old people go to the movies?
Monday matinees don't make a lot of money, sir. So.
Cheaper ticket prices is your rationale for that one. Yeah. Dan, where are you going with this? Is this just me, or are you equally kind of thinking this is a hard one to predict?
It's definitely much harder, but I think Money Monster was one I was considering as well, just because it's coming out in a really crowded field. It's trying to counter programming, but I wonder if there's an audience there in May for it. But I think I'm actually going to go a different route, and I'm going to go the Angry Birds movie is going to bomb. I feel like a lot of people don't know this movie's even coming out. Just marketing-wise, I don't think a lot of people... I think it's also coming out long after like the Angry Birds craze has kind of come and gone for a great deal. And, it's a video game movie, so a lot of people just inherently don't want to see them and don't trust them. So I'm going to go with the Angry Birds movie.
And I am going to double down with Dan on this one. I've gone back and forth with about 4 or 5 different films, but I feel like all of them could be just as crazily or unexpectedly successful. Like there could easily Angry Birds could do good. Like it's there's not a lot of animated competition from it or in May really against it, and there was definitely a craze on Angry Birds. But I'm kind of going with your logic, Dan, that it's not hitting the right time. So I'm hoping that the crazed Angry Birds game lovers are not necessarily still as excited as the movie hopes it will be. But I thought about going the fact that Neighbors and Nice Guys are competing against each other, that maybe one of them would cancel each other out. I also thought about Alice Through the Looking Glass and X-Men Apocalypse somehow making one of them bomb, since they're both coming out the same weekend. But I got to go with Angry Birds, but I'm not confident at all. So, all right, so those are our box office picks. You guys are going to have to let us know who you think made the best predictions and who's going to come out on top when it comes to the box office of the May films. And with that, we will transition into what comes next, which is Rotten Tomatoes. So, current standings for Rotten Tomatoes going into this month. Dan, you're atop the leaderboard with 2 points. And obviously it's still early on, so Amanda and I are just trailing by 1 point. So we each have 1 and you have 2 going into the April results. For Certified Fresh, Dan, you had Green Room as Certified Fresh, and Green Room currently on Rotten Tomatoes has an 89%. So that is well above the 75 mark. So you are correct with Green Room. And Amanda, your pick was Demolition. And Demolition currently holds a 50%.
No love for the Gyllenhaal.
No love for Jake Gyllenhaal when it came to Demolition, so you get no point for Certified Fresh. And I went the easy route and picked Jungle Book, and it currently has a 94%. So Dan and I
pick,
score.
I was going to say that.
What's that?
That's a cheap pick.
I will take points any way I can get them. So Dan and I will get points for Certified Fresh. Moving into Certified Rotten, Dan and myself picked Mother's Day. Dan, any guess to what Mother's Day has currently on Rotten Tomatoes?
I know because I checked, so it's like 8% or something like that.
Yes, an 8%, so not good for Mother's Day. So we will take our points for that. Amanda, you had Criminal, and Criminal currently is at 31%. So 6 points too high for you to get a point.
What the hell?
So no points for Amanda this week in the Rotten Tomatoes, or this month, excuse me. So that would bring the current point total. Dan, 4 points. Myself, 3 points. Amanda, 1 point.
Yikes, man.
So you got some work to do when it comes to Rotten Tomatoes. Let's take a little bit closer look at the April releases. Obviously, we know The Jungle Book and Green Room both were high enough to make the mark. Amanda, any guess on any other films from April? Can you remember any of the other ones that came out that you might think were certified fresh, or do you want to defer to Matt or Dan?
I'm gonna defer. I don't remember enough of what came out besides what you guys just talked about.
Dan, any guesses as to what else might have been fresh from April?
Maybe Keanu.
Keanu, 76%. So barely, but Keanu is definitely above the mark. Anybody else have any other guesses? There was actually 7 correct guesses that you could have made for April.
It's gotta be The Boss then.
No.
What?
I know like the new Barbershop has like a 90%, if I'm not mistaken.
It has a 92%. Barbershop, the next cut, is the second highest behind Jungle Book at 92%. I did not see that one coming. Rounding up the rest of them, besides Green Room and Keanu, we have The Invitation at 89%. Everybody Wants Some, the Linklater film, at 87%, and Elvis and Nixon at 76%. So those are your 7 certified fresh films from April. Miles Ahead just missed. It was at 71. So, and if we're flipping it, there was actually more choices this time to get right at the bottom of the barrel. We had 6 films that were certified rotten. Obviously, we already talked about one of them with our Mother's Day prediction, and Mother's Day was the worst at 8%. We should get bonus points for that, Dan. It was the worst rated film of April. But there was 5 other ones. Anybody have a guess as to what else was certified rotten?
The Boss.
The Boss is at 19%, so that is one of them.
Hardcore Henry?
Hardcore Henry, no, it actually is right in the middle. It's at 49%.
Oh.
Dan, anything?
The God's Not Dead 2.
God's Not Dead 2 was at 10%,
Ooh.
and then the other 3 were Meet the Blacks at 13%, Huntsman Winter's War at 16%, and Ratchet and Clank 18%. So those were the bottom of the barrel ones for April. So with that knowledge in hand of what happened in April, Amanda, start us off for May. What is going to be certified fresh?
Oh, shit. Certified fresh. Let's go with Tom Hiddleston in High Rise.
You hated that trailer.
I did, but I think that assholes are going to like that movie.
Why do they have to be assholes?
Who are going to get it to be certified fresh.
All right.
Like, they don't do well for me. They're going to have to pull something out of the bag here and help me out.
So High Rise certified fresh from Amanda. I'll go next, and I'm going to go with The Nice Guys. I don't know what made me pick that, but that's what's written on my paper. So I'm going with The Nice Guys getting good reviews, and Shane Black getting some love. So Dan, what do you have certified fresh?
I actually am going to double down with The Nice Guys as well. I think it looks pretty solid, and I have faith in Shane Black, so I will go with that.
Excellent. Matt, are you going either direction that Amanda or Dan and I went, or somewhere else?
No, I'm gonna go different with Captain America because it's gonna get all of the money.
All of the money and all of the critical acclaim, apparently. So it's not going the same route as...
Have you seen any of the trailers? It looks amazing.
It does. And people want something to cleanse the palate from a previous comic book film. So, all right. Certified rotten, then, the label that we make up because it doesn't exist. 25% or lower. Dan, what do you got?
Man, this one's tough. I'm not... let's go. I'll go with The Darkness. I could see it just, horror movies are hit or miss, so I'll go with this one being a mess.
All right, so Darkness for Dan. Matt, what do you have for your rotten pick?
See, I think this is the harder one than the fail.
The bomb?
Yeah, the bomb. Like, I've got two written down. I think I'm going to go with Alice Through the Glass.
All right, so not being received very well. That I can see that. Like I said, I almost picked that as my bet to bomb too. I don't necessarily think that's a lock. Like, I know Alice in Wonderland made a ton of money, but
it's gonna be another Huntsman.
Yeah, sometimes people don't like sometimes critics especially do not like sequels. So we could see that happening. Amanda, what do you have for your certified rotten pick?
I'm hoping this is right and comes out this month. I'm gonna go with The Lobster.
As rotten?
Yes.
Can I persuade you not to do that?
Why?
Well, I mean, it had a limited release last year, and it's got like a 99% or something.
Told me about that first.
Well, I mean, the information's already out there. I don't want you to pick something that's already been reviewed by half the world.
Then I don't know. I don't have anything else written down.
I'll give you a second.
Give me some options here.
Angry Birds.
That's my pick, actually, is Angry Birds. So I'm going with Angry Birds as not getting, even if it makes some money from the kids, I don't think it's going to be rated well by the critics. So I'm going with Angry Birds as my certified rotten pick. Amanda, like I said, we got a lot of other stuff coming out there, comic book stuff. You got Neighbors, Nice Guys.
Let's do the Adam Sandler joint, The Do-Over.
Oh, The Do-Over? I think that's a pretty much... If anybody reviews that, you will win.
Man, yeah, that's a good call. I didn't even think about that.
If it is reviewed by at least one person, then you win that bet. So, I think that's going direct to streaming release from Netflix. Yeah, and that just looks all kinds of awful.
Whatever, I'm going to fucking watch it. I'll review it and win.
You're going to try to put one on Rotten Tomatoes just to make it rotten. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if I like it, I'm still going to say it's shit.
That's awesome. All right, so those are our predictions for Rotten Tomatoes for the month of May. Let us know where we got it right, where we got it wrong. What would your picks be for Rotten and for Fresh? And we'll have to see throughout the month of May how close we come to sweeping the board like Dan did with getting a lot of points for April. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's time for our extended look at some trailer talk.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey guys, it's Optimus Solo and
Hard Candy Mandy.
we just wanted to let you guys know about another podcast out there that we both think you would all enjoy.
It's one of both of our favorite shows to listen to, and it's none other than the True Bromance Podcast.
True Bromance is a movie podcast hosted by longtime friends Hyro and Barry, and if you like to smile, laugh, and just be genuinely entertained while listening to movie talk, then this is definitely the right show for you.
Each week, the guys break down a recently released movie, and not only do they tie in the movie that week to the beers that they are drinking during the show,
but they also tie it into a real fun top and bottom 5 list associated with that movie.
It's a blast hearing both sides of these lists, and it definitely makes them unique amongst all other movie review podcasts.
So we definitely want to recommend all of you guys to go check out their show. Just search out the True Bromance Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, and all other podcast platforms. And if you listen via iTunes, do us a favor and leave them a 5-star review. And don't forget to let them know that the Cinema Geeks sent you.
On the Simplistic Reviews podcast, we talk movies. We talk TV. We talk...
Hello, Julie, what the heck are you doing?
Trying to make our spots sound more exciting by adding explosions.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could have got the point across with sound effects, not the real thing. Car.
Download the show on iTunes or at simplisticreviews.blogspot.com.
I'm sure your insurance company will cover that.
No, they won't.
No, they probably won't.
Now back to the show. Do you see how your patience paid off?
All right, thanks for sticking with us. It's time for Trailer Talk. This is the time of the month where we take a good look at all the trailers that have been released over the last 3 to 4 weeks, and like usual, Dan, there is a lot of them.
Yeah, quite a few. Honestly, when I was first starting, I'm like, this is not looking like a good month, but eventually some good trailers did show, so I was excited about that.
Yeah, and not quite the, I think, 57 or whatever that we had last month, so a little easier to get through. And for those of you that have never tuned into one of our monthly previews, when we get to the trailer talk, basically we're just going to bounce off of each other. We're each going to take a turn picking a trailer that we either really liked or really disliked, and kind of give our reason why that trailer makes us never want to see the film, or why we're extra excited to see the film because of the trailer. And the rest of us can chime in and comment on the other people's picks however we'd like it, and we'll do a bunch of rounds to try to get you guys all a good idea of which trailers came out and what maybe you should put on your radar for stuff to look for in the coming weeks. So, Matt, let's start with you. And you can go either direction, so a yay or a nay. Where do you want to go for the first trailer?
So I guess I'm just going to go with The Magnificent Seven.
Okay. Positive or negative?
Very positive. I don't know, I'm not a Western guy, I guess. I probably should be. I know a lot of people that like Westerns. But it's got just a little bit of fantastical to it, and, that really gets me interested. I've never seen the original. I've seen a lot of different things that are kind of the same idea. DC Comics had a thing that might have just been called The Magnificent Seven. That was, the same concept.
There's definitely been a lot of different takes on the story and the Seven Samurai and the Magnificent Seven original, et cetera, et cetera. Dan, I don't think you were necessarily excited about this one to begin with when you heard about it. I don't know if that changed one way or stayed, if it got stronger after you saw the trailer.
Yeah, mostly because Antoine Fuqua, the director, to me, can be super hit or miss. He can do some good stuff and then do some things that are really questionable. But actually, I enjoyed the trailer. It looks like it's going to be fun. It reminded me a lot of the remake of 310 to Yuma, but a little bit more popcorn flicky, I guess, if that's a term. But I think I might be suffering from Western fatigue with The Salvation and Slow West last year, and the Quentin Tarantino, the Hateful Eight. It's just so many Westerns, you just can't get rid of.
Bone Tomahawk.
Bone Tomahawk. I mean, now this and Duel. That's also a trailer for now. But actually, I think it's kind of funny. There's now a new explosion of Western, which I actually think is great. I am a fan of Western, so I do like the cast. I think the cast looks great.
It's an interesting cast.
Yeah.
If you were telling me that you were making, if you didn't use the word Magnificent Seven necessarily, and you're just saying, I'm making a Western, and we got a band of guys, and then you listed that cast, I would be very confused.
I feel they're like, okay, we have these 7 people, let's find a movie we can put them in, and remake Magnificent Seven. So, and I've seen Chris Pratt in a Western setting. Seems like it could be fun, and
also D'Onofrio seems like a weird selection to be in this world. So,
I'm excited
Yeah.
for the cast. I don't think it can do any wrong with this. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. And they've remade Seven Samurai like a trillion times, so why not remake The Magnificent Seven? So I think it'll be good. I don't think it'll be like an amazing film, but I think it'll be entertaining. So.
Yeah, I think that's what you're going to get. You're going to get, if you go in just wanting to have some fun and entertainment, I think hopefully you won't be disappointed with that one. I'm with you guys too. I put yay down for that one as well. Amanda, why don't you go next? A yay or nay pick for a trailer?
I'm going to go a full nay for a full nay.
Not half?
No. I'm sorry. Let me back this up. A full yay.
Oh, now we've switched completely.
Yeah.
So that's
we're gonna flop this completely. A full yay for Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. I'm so excited for the time period. I think that the look of it is super true to the universe, and I'm really stoked to see more magic and to see more adult magic and things outside of the school setting. And I'm excited to see what villainy they have. I mean, I don't even know what the bad guys are going to be. So I think it's super intriguing. I love the preview. I'm hoping Eddie Redmayne just keeps his creepy yells to himself and does a good job here. I'm really on board.
All right. That's no surprise to any of us, by the way, that you are yay in Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. But I also put yay down for that. I'm not nearly as excited as you, but I think that would be impossible. But I was intrigued by that trailer, and I'm on board. I'm not dreading going to see that. Matt, what did you think about Fantastic Beasts?
I didn't watch the second trailer. I guess the problem is I'm not interested in Harry Potter movies anymore. Like,
Amanda's not giving you a good look.
I'll read the books. I've been a book fan since I was in grade school, like 5th, 6th grade. I've been right there day one on every book since. But the movies, ever since, what was it, the third one, that they messed it up so terribly, I was like, I don't need to see these.
All right, so
I don't really care because I think they're two different monsters. I like them, the books, and I like the movie separately. I don't have to intertwine them together because I can just enjoy the universe either way.
All right.
So I don't think it can do any wrong in my book.
So a staunch supporter of all things Harry Potter is Hard Candy Mandy. Dan, any interest in Fantastic Beasts?
I do have interest, but I also I don't know. There's something concerning, I guess, in my mind with this, just because it's going to be, I'm so conditioned to be in the Harry Potter world, watching Harry Potter and the, Hogwarts and all those other things. So seeing a different part of it that's not connected at all is going to be somewhat of a change. So, I do enjoy that world. I think there's a lot of cool things. I love the time period and the putting it in like New York City in the past with magic. That's kind of cool. I don't think that's a concept I've saw before. So I do think it has potential, but I'm just a tad apprehensive that it'll be up to the quality of the past Harry Potter movies, which I really do like. I have not read the books, so I can't.
Nor have I. So, all right, Dan, that leaves it up to you now for your first pick on a yay or nay.
Well, with all the yays, I guess I'll go with a nay. And it's a nay because it's with a movie that I really want to like, and I'm really hoping it's going to be good, and it's Snowden. I really want Oliver Stone to make good movies again. He used to do that. Last year, Ridley Scott made a comeback with The Martian. I was hoping this could be his comeback. But after the trailer, I just was not sold for a variety of different reasons. I mean, the cast looks impressive, but I'm not digging Joseph Gordon-Levitt's choice when it comes to doing the voice he's doing. It just seems unnecessary and kind of weird. And it's not that Snowden has this iconic voice that you would have to follow. I don't think you can act other ways. You don't have to mimic a voice. So that's just I guess a small nitpick. But overall, though, it just seems like it's a little bit. It's over. I would say seems to be dumbing it down, but then also over dramatizing it at the same time. It just looks kind of generic, and considering Oliver Stone and this material, I was hoping for more. So it just seems like a TV movie almost.
I had this on my most anticipated films of the year list, and it was before obviously anything was seen about it. I just kind of knew the director, obviously the subject matter, and the cast, but I never saw when I was doing that Nicolas Cage was going to be in this. So that is my first worry. And then second was, like you were saying, I don't understand the need to go for that type of voice that he is portraying in that one. And I also agree with you that it seems like this is real, based, obviously based on real life events, and Oliver Stone, and I was expecting something to be like a more serious and more authentic tone than what I got from that trailer. And that trailer to me just shouted like, we're going to take this real life event, and all of a sudden we're turning it into like a thriller, like a Hollywood thriller, and it just seemed weird to me. It seemed fake. I don't know if that's the right word or not, but I'm with you that I was excited a lot more before I saw the trailer. So
as far as that voice goes, I kept trying to figure out if that was like a voiceover or if that was him actually doing that voice. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, it was jarring. I mean, maybe it's something that you get used to, 10, 15 minutes into the film and you forget about it, but the first time I heard it and throughout that whole trailer was just...
His stupid voice in the walk, too, was very distracting.
Maybe not the best voice guy, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Matt, any interest in Snowden?
No, but that's more content than anything.
All right. I will also double down on the negative, I guess. We'll let you two do positive, and Dan and I will go negative. And I'm going to go with my first nay with 2 exclamation points. 100% nay, like you, full nay on Bye Bye Man. Can we...
Seriously creepy, though.
Can we stop, though, with... Like, that is the dumbest name for a horror villain that I possibly maybe have ever seen, and maybe it's just because I'm not a horror genre fan, but that doesn't mean I can't get behind some of the concepts and whatnot. But this just like, I don't mind a horror film when it's like something that I feel like is unique or it's a clever take on something, but how many times do we have to have the same film about...
It was almost like the Babadook.
Right, whatever, just throw a name out there, Babadook, there's been... Yeah, Boogeyman, Bye Bye Man, and I don't know, the whole thing, I was just shaking my head. So I am a 100% nay on Bye Bye Man. But you are a horror fan, so are you excited for it, Amanda?
I'm not excited, but I definitely watch it just to get creeped out.
All right. Matt, Dan, any thoughts on Bye Bye Man?
I just wrote down generic horror movie, and that's pretty much all I have to say about it.
Yeah, that's all. But I guess what made me write it down more is like that they actually went through with naming it the Bye Bye Man. And that's what they're calling it, and that's what they're saying during the film. And it's generic, and then it's bizarre at the same time. So, all right, we'll stop talking about Bye Bye Man. Matt, I don't remember whose turn it is, but we'll go with you.
I watched the one that has a cool name. It was like Captain Fantastic or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that
Fantastic
one?
That's with Viggo Mortensen.
Vigo.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'll ever see it, but it looks good. It looks too heart-wrenching for me, but it looks good. It's just, I think it would kill me inside.
I was on board. I liked the premise of that and kind of the culture clash that you get with the ideology there between him and what his friends and family. I will definitely seek that out if it's at all available, and I will watch it because I don't mind having my heart torn out. So I'm a yay for Captain Fantastic as well. Dan, did you have any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, it looks quite good. I do agree. This idea of this outdoor family, or whatever you want to call it, like being forced to live in, it's almost like the family raised by wolves, but not wolves, just an old dude who doesn't like veganism gone way too far. But yeah, that looks like it could be quite good. But I do agree, it looks like it could be super heart-wrenching and super hard to watch at times. But
Amanda, what about you? Captain Fantastic? Could it be fantastic?
I have no idea about fantastic. If I'm going to be forced to be pulled along for this heart-wrenching ride, I may or may not like it. I think that it would probably make me pretty angry in some spots, it looks like. So I don't know. We'll see. Okay.
Emotions flowing every which way on Captain Fantastic. Amanda, what do you got next? Positive or negative?
I want another positive.
Okay. Bringing it up.
And let's go A Monster Calls. Or When a Monster Calls.
A Monster Calls.
A Monster Calls.
Yes.
I think Liam Neeson's voice, super creepy, and definitely hooks you in. I think that the voice work on this is going to be really awesome, and I'm excited for the visuals, too. I think that the tree monster actually looks really legit, And I'm all about the fantasy genre anyways, and I think that this is going to be something that's super up my alley and looks intense, but I don't know if it's going to be super kid-friendly. I think it might be a little intense, but definitely leaning towards the kid side, too.
It definitely has a lot of fantasy elements as well as, like you said, an epic voiceover by Liam Neeson. And this one, like I think like Amanda was alluding to, though, even though you do get the fantasy elements and you do get the Liam Neeson voiceover and a little bit of what's going on, it doesn't necessarily give away what kind of like vibe this film's going for. You can't quite tell if it's going to be more of an adventure, if it's going to be more dramatic, if it's going to be, like you said, kid-friendly or a little bit more mature.
It looks a little dark.
Yeah, so I was a little bit kind of in the dark as far as what direction they were going to go, but I like fantasy too, so I'm on board to see whatever way they go with this one and kind of see the visual aspect of it as well. Dan, did you get a chance to see this one?
I did, and I agreed. I did like it. It gave me that awe that I was hoping the BFG trailer would give me, which it didn't at all. Where I would probably be much more nay on that, where I'm much more yay with this one. So, like, again, like, I think I'm in agreement with Amanda where I'm not sure if this would actually, it seems to be somewhat of a kid's film, but maybe too far, and almost like Where the Wild Things Are, where I feel like the concept may evolve kids, but may not be appropriate for them at the same time.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Dan, you're up next. Going positive or negative with your next pick?
I went negative last time. Let's go positive. I have one I feel like you're going to bring up, Kev, so I'll hold off that one because it's historical fiction, so I'm pretty sure you'll bring it up. But I'll go with The Founder, the McDonald's drama, the founding of McDonald's, with Michael Keaton and Nick Offerman. This one I'm a big yay for. I think it looks like it could be quite good. Michael Keaton's on fire right now, and seems like he's keeping that going with this. Also, Nick Offerman to me is a man among men, so I didn't know he was going to be in this, and I'm excited to see that. He fits that role perfectly, so I think this could be really good. I don't know if I heard some people say like rumblings of like Oscar buzz for this. I don't think it'll be that good. I think it'll be a solid film, enjoyable, but I'm not hoping out for like best of the year. I think it'll be just like maybe a good 7, 8 out of 10 type of movie, which I think would be fine. But
I agree with you 100% on everything you just said. Like every aspect, every point you brought up, I'm 100% on board. I had this on my most anticipated list, but it was more because, hey, it's Michael Keaton. He's been doing a lot of stuff that's been getting some good praise, and it's I guess an interesting. I mean, I don't know how many people are excited to learn about McDonald's or not, but I do think it's somewhat intriguing as far as how it all works out, and definitely through the trailers you get that kind of this back and forth type thing. It almost reminds me of aspects, and this is, I don't necessarily want to compare these two films, but of like The Social Network, where you have like the inner workings of the group that is kind of working together and who comes out with the ownership of something. So I think it's going to be interesting, but I agree with you. I don't necessarily think it's going to be like in my top 10 of the year, but I'm hopeful based on the trailer that, like you said, it's a 7, 8 out of 10 type film. So I'm on board for Founder as well. Amanda, you on board with the McDonald's train?
Not really sure. Michael Keaton, I like him as Batman. I don't really like him as this creepy corporate old guy. I don't know if that's a great way to explain it, but that's just kind of how I saw it. I don't know. He just seemed like a skis ball, and I didn't want to not like another Michael Keaton movie because I really hated him in Birdman.
All right, so you're hoping that he doesn't disappoint you in this one.
Hopefully.
All right, so Matt, any thoughts on Founder, Michael Keaton, McDonald's, or anything like that?
I got a couple thoughts. I think he's a little old for Batman nowadays, so he's got to find a new role. And I think McDonald's just interesting, if only because I've all of my life lived in the state that it was founded in, and that's an interesting fact to me.
There you go, hitting home with The Founder. I'll go ahead and pick the one that Dan probably predicted that I would go with, and I'll talk about Birth of a Nation. Nate Parker as director and star. Obviously, like Dan said, anything that's like historical fiction, etc., I'm on board for 100%. I don't necessarily think that it was anything about the trailer necessarily that made me more excited or less excited, though. I already kind of knew about the project, and I knew what was going on, and I was interested that a lot of people weren't talking about it early on, but then obviously it played at the festivals. I can't remember which one, but
Sundance.
Cannes or Sundance, yeah, Sundance. And then all of a sudden, everybody was talking about it. But I'm just more the setting, the topic that we're covering, some of the players involved. The trailer, I'm kind of borderline with. I don't know if I should get excited for it or if I should be a little apprehensive, but just based on my thoughts beforehand, I'm still giving this one a yay, and I want it to do well, Dan, because Nate Parker was my last pick on the Fantasy Film League, so he would give me double points for director and actor in this one. So, were you also?
I'm almost nearly positive. Yeah, I am. I think it's a lot about it that I'm really looking forward to. It's like you said, the premise, the idea of it. The trailer was pretty good. I thought it did its job. I don't know if I didn't have the praise it got from like Sundance and a few other places if I would be as excited. But I feel, considering its subject matter, everything that's going on, it's a pretty strong contender that this is going to be nominated for an Oscar, Best Picture, or something of that nature. With 10 nominees, it has a good chance. And usually, the last few years, the darling out of Sundance, well, like Whiplash was nominated for Best Picture. I could see that happening with this again. So keep that trait.
And then we get to deal with all of the social media and media fanfare that.
Oh yeah, that's going to be amazing.
Why it gets nominated and this, that, and the other.
That'll be fun.
So that's something to look forward to. Amanda, you're not necessarily maybe as big on the genre and some of the historical fiction. I know you like history, but we haven't watched 12 Years a Slave or stuff like that, so I don't know how you feel about that actual time period. But were you excited about the preview for Birth of a Nation?
I think that it does spur some kind of emotion in you, and I think that anything that can do that in somebody and kind of make them think about that time period a little bit more deeply and feel for the people and their struggle during that time, I think it is going to be a good job done. So not seeing 12 Years a Slave and all that stuff, I'm not sure how that'll affect it, but I'd be open to see it.
All right. We'll do a couple more rounds here. Matt, do you have anything left on your list as far as anything that you want to yay or nay?
I guess I'll go with the weird one. I want to yay the BFG. I know it got some flack a little bit earlier. If only because even if the trailer wasn't wowing, everything I saw in the trailer was like, I remember that from the book, and it's one of those ones where it's like, hey, if they just do just a text-to-page shot-for-shot thing, I'm going to be happy with it because I love that book.
Yeah.
And, accuracy is a thing I've always gone for, consistently.
And I do think that Mark Rylance it's an interesting portrayal and an interesting choice, and I think he does somehow make that look believable as him playing that role. Like, I don't know, there's something about it that worked for me, but then other parts that were left me wanting a little bit. I wanted to yay it a lot more than I did. Dan, you weren't very high on this one. What was causing you to be a little bit lower?
Mostly, I think the story looks good. It's just the look of it to me. I just couldn't get on board with as much. It just, and to be fair, it's the trailer, so that it could be cleaned up by the time it comes out. But it just felt. It's such a cop-out to say this, but it did feel so heavily CGI that it was somewhat disconnected by it, and the relationship between the characters. It just wasn't as convincing as I would hope, considering what you need for this story. So that's what I was disappointed by, especially because it's Spielberg, and and maybe it's unfair, but I just have such high expectations with him when it comes to him and melding special effects. He's such a master at doing it, and I just, for the trailer at least, again, it could improve when the movie comes out. It didn't. I didn't see it.
All right, Amanda, where do you fall on the fence for BFG?
I never had to read that book in school, so I'm not really familiar with the story, but I was like, hey, is that the fucking Bridge of Spies guy? So, I think that if it can pull off the look, I think I could dig it. I might have to super quick read the story before I go see it, though.
That shouldn't take you too long. All right, so that brings it back to you, though, Amanda. We'll stay with you. One more pick for this round, and probably one more round after. Which one do you want to get in?
This is a pick. I'm not sure if I'm going to like it or not, but I'm leaning on the side of another yay. That's No Men Beyond This Point, the mockumentary. I think it looks kind of funny. I think it's going to be a little outrageous, but I think this is an idea that's been tossed up a lot. I wouldn't say as far as for a movie goes, but I think it would be a really fun ride to see this as a mockumentary, just to see what life would be like in this scenario.
The one reason why I am holding out hope for this one is it did, for some reason, just give me that same, obviously they're both mockumentaries, but it did give me that same feel and the same type of humor that I saw a little bit with What We Do in the Shadows.
Which is probably why I like it.
So I did think that it had some potential. I think it also, though, like you said, it could, you said you could go either way, and it could end up being awful, but I think it might be my style of humor, so surprisingly, I gave this one. I didn't write yay or nay, I just wrote interesting next to it, so I was kind of undecided. Dan or Matt, any thoughts on A World with No Men?
Wow, that's a good, that's a tough question to ask.
We asked the hard questions here.
I actually really liked the trailer. I thought, like, similar to you, this is very much my style of humor, so I had a yay for it. I think it looks really funny, and I do love mockumentaries. They are done to death, I grant you, but they can still be really good, like you mentioned, where with what is it, We're in the Shadows.
What We Do in
the Shadows last year, which was one of my favorite films of the year. So I don't want to put that type of pressure on a movie like this, but I think it'll be fun. So
even the other day when we had spaghetti, I think I said, "Would you like some biscotti?" to Kevin like 9 times in a row. I'm still hung up on that movie, so I have high hopes for this one.
All right. Well, there are a couple of big films I'm surprised we haven't got to. I don't know if one of them might be on your list or not, Dan, but where are you going next?
Well, I guess we should probably talk about it, and that's Doctor Strange, the big Marvel film. I was a pretty big yay on this, and one of the biggest reasons is I'm glad that it looks a lot different than any other Marvel movie, which I think could hurt it in the sense of I could see a lot of people not wanting to see it, because nearly every Marvel film up to this point, like, a big selling point has been comedy. Even Guardians of the Galaxy, which, this crazy concept that they were able to sell it with comedy. Even Thor, they had a great deal of comedy. This, there was none. It was pretty serious, and which I think is a good thing, because Doctor Strange's story doesn't have a lot of humor in it, but it looks different. It looks to me like this cast is incredible. It's Oscar winners all over the place. So I have a feeling it's going to be a movie that it's maybe better received, but maybe box office wise it doesn't do nearly as good, just because I think a lot of people are going to be like, nope, that's one step too far, Marvel. But but then again, I thought that with Guardians, and I thought that with Ant-Man, and those all did well, so they'll probably be fine. I'm not going to think it's going to bomb, but I just don't think it'll get to the level of some of the other movies.
Matt, I don't know how much of a fan you are of the character of Doctor Strange, or if you saw the trailer or not, but what's your take on this film coming out? And I believe you've talked about it before, that in some of our other previous episodes. I just can't remember where you fall on this one.
Well, I've got mixed feelings on Doctor Strange as a character. Like, I find I love Doctor Strange as a character, right? Like, if you get a good Doctor Strange story, a story where Doctor Strange is good in it, say, like, the Infinity Gauntlet saga, like, Doctor Strange is a great, amazing character. There's one time where, like, he and Doctor Doom, like, fought and teamed up. It was great. The problem is that people don't know how to write him half of the time, probably more than half of the time, and so a lot of his stories suck. But Marvel hasn't done wrong yet, so I'm just going to assume they're going to do it right, and I'm looking forward to this movie.
Yeah. I'm on the same page. I think everything I saw from the trailer excited me even more. I thought Tilda Swinton looked incredible. I thought they got the right guy to play Doctor Strange. So far, there's nothing to make me think that it's going to be anything but successful. But like Dan, I don't know what, when you're talking about comic book films and you're talking about Marvel films, I mean, there's a lot of different varying degrees of success, and there's a lot of different levels that a movie can reach. I mean, we've said that none of them, have necessarily been bombs, so to speak, but you have like the level of like what the Thor movies did, and then you have like obviously all the way up to where Avengers was, and a bunch of things in between, like with Winter Soldier. So it's hard to say how it resonates. I don't know if it'll be quite the success. Obviously, there's a lot of comparisons being made or thrown out to like Guardians of the Galaxy, because that was something else that was a little bit more out of left field. I don't think it'll have that resonance with things and with the box office, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Not everything has to make a gazillion dollars to be a good film. So, Amanda, Doctor Strange.
I'm still a little skeptical. I think it looks pretty intense and leaning towards the fantastical.
We've used that term a lot today.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Not you, just all of us.
I'm going to say, get off my shit. I think that the players look pretty cool. I'm not too familiar with Doctor Strange character himself, but I think people are going to give it their money regardless, and maybe he'll get some new fans out of the deal here, but I'm not really sure about my feelings on it. I'm still super skeptical.
Okay. We'll have to wait and see how it turns out for you. For my next pick, I'm going to go with a yay. I'll stay positive as well. And my yay will be another one of my most anticipated films of the year that I really knew nothing about except for the two cast members involved and a little brief plot synopsis. But now that I've seen the trailer, I am on board. The trailer is nothing like I thought it was going to be, but I still don't mind the direction that it's going in. I'm going to go with Girl on the Train, with Emily Blunt and Rebecca Ferguson. And like I said, it's not what I expected. When I read the brief plot synopsis at the early points of the year and saw the cast members, etc., I had a completely different vision of what this film, what kind of direction and feel it was going to go for. And the trailer was obviously very different than that, but I'm still 100% on board with the direction it is going, if not just to showcase the people involved and kind of make I'm big on thrillers and suspense, and I think this has that in spades. So I am still looking forward to Girl on the Train. Dan, any thoughts on that one?
Honestly, I do remember it, but it looked okay, but it wasn't honestly have all that lasting impression on me either way. Like, I thought I knew the actresses, but I guess it didn't really sell me all that much. But like, maybe just
it
not
gave
a
me
genre
that.
for me.
It gave me that feel of not like it's anything like Gone Girl, but it kind of gave me that type of vibe or that type of aesthetic that you got from that. So I'm looking forward to it from that respect. I don't necessarily think it's going to be, like you said for a couple other, like a different film earlier, I don't think it's going to be film of the year or anything like that, but I'm just interested to see where they go with this storyline. Amanda, were you on board for this one or not?
Originally, no. The title sounded like that super pretentious one that Dan told us about, when a bird sits on a wire and contemplates life or existence or whatever it was. But after seeing the trailer, I think I'm intrigued a lot more. I think that it does look like a super cool suspense thriller kind of movie. It almost felt a little like, what was that movie, like Premonition with Sandra Bullock or whatever? Something like that. But we'll see. I like Emily Blunt, so I'd be down.
All right. I think there's time for one more round, so if you got one that you were holding back, now's the time to bring it out. Matt, any trailer that you did not get to talk about yet that you want to talk about in a positive or negative way? Or are you out?
Like, I mean, I don't know. I didn't even watch it because I saw the first one and that was good enough. I would nay Independence Day 2 just as a film in general.
Why not a big fan for Independence Day 2?
Like, well, for so many reasons. One, like, I'm automatically out when you be like, hey, it's Independence Day 2. We're releasing it in June. Like, that was my first, like, just like Mother's Day in April. Yeah, okay, sounds like you got a lot of faith in it. Like, that one is enough for me. But, like, I don't know, man. Like, it's like, hey, we beat it with Windows 95 and flying an airplane into it, but then they came back with better technology, so we're just gonna lose again and then win because of America. I don't know, man. I don't know how you could be enthused. Like, whenever someone does a sequel a decade or more later, it doesn't get me excited.
Dan, agree or disagree?
You know what? Like, I would think beforehand, like before watching the trailer, agreed with pretty much everything, but the trailer kind of sold me. I thought it looked actually kind of good. I think it looks like it could be like a fun. It's much different than the original. It's much more serious, which usually would be a turnoff. But I don't know. For whatever reason, I actually am somewhat intrigued and do want to see it. But it feels dirty saying that. I feel dirty saying that, but I did enjoy the trailer. So.
Amanda, I know you are completely on the other end of the spectrum than Matt is. So explain to us why. He asked how someone could be enthused. How are you enthused on this?
How am I not enthused? I think along with what Dan said, it does look a lot more serious. I think it does look darker. I think that without having Will Smith, it has a freaking chance. And the trailer does look super awesome. And I'm not always one to just automatically hate sequels, especially not sequels who come later. Like, I liked the sequel to 300. Nobody gives a fuck about that movie, but I really enjoyed it. I think that there is a certain look to this, too, that I'm super stoked about. I get goosebumps when I watch the trailer. Like, I'm excited. And it coming out in June, that's a stupid decision. I don't know why the hell they would do that. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. But I think that even the players that they have coming back, I think they're going to do a hell of a job, too.
Would you be down on any sequel from a film that came out in the 90s?
Almost yes.
I'm completely neutral on this one. I don't have an opinion either way. I'm not excited for it. I'm not anti-Independence Day. I honestly, if it was down to seeing this or some of the other films coming out that month, I'd probably pick the other films. But I'm not gonna. I don't know. I'll withhold judgment, I guess, until I see it. I don't have any inkling, positive or negative, on this one, so I'll stay out of this whole debate on Independence Day. Amanda, what else do you have?
I think another one that I'm on the fence about, but leaning toward the nay side this time, is going to be the Fang family.
Really?
I think that is a super funny concept. I just don't know what the execution is going to be.
Christopher Walken's going all in 2016. That's all I know.
Yeah. I think it looked really cute, and I think that might be some funny stuff to traumatize your kids with. But I'm not really sure how Christopher Walken is going to hold up.
I couldn't decide on Family Fang if it was going to be...
Fang family?
Family Fang, I think, isn't it? Either way. I couldn't decide if it was going to be like good in the way that like Wes Anderson films are good, or if it was going to be bad in the way that, what was the name of the Johnny Depp film early on last year?
Mordecai?
Mordecai. Like, I couldn't decide if it was going to go that direction or the other. So I'm on the fence, but it's unique. It's Christopher Walken, Jason Bateman. I put mild yay down for this one because I am intrigued, but I also went and saw Mordecai in the theater, so what the hell do I know? So
wow.
So that's all I'm going to say on that one. Don't take my opinion on that to hold much water. Dan, what did you think of Family Fang and Christopher Walken? He apparently is doing about 100 films in 2016.
Yeah, he does like doing work. I don't know. It looks like it looked okay. Like that's kind of like, you know, like in the between yay and nay. So A, I guess. I don't know. So
nice.
I'd probably see it, but it's something I probably would wait to see it for streaming or something of that nature.
Right. Oh, I could definitely see that. I don't know if I'd pay too much money to go see this. I'd wait until it was easily accessible. And Dan, something that you haven't got to check off your list for the trailer talk today.
There's actually quite a few I'm trying to debate bringing up, but I think I'm going to bring up one that, if it wasn't for the trailer, I probably wouldn't know it existed or even bothered seeing it. But after seeing the trailer, I'm actually interested in it, and it's the Approaching the Unknown. Trailers with Mark Strong as an astronaut going to Mars. I do think the trailer kind of gives away too much. Maybe it's hard to tell, but the idea that he's traveling by himself in these long distances and a limited storytelling, but in science fiction, it definitely can see the influences from 2001 to a certain extent. But I don't know. I think it could be good, and I think I'm looking forward to seeing how that turns out. So.
I also started this one as a yay as well. I'm a huge Mark Strong fan. I'm a huge science fiction fan. I wasn't, like I said, I don't know as far as everything that they revealed in the trailer, and it kind of had me questioning myself a little bit, but if they would have done if they would have just shown like Mark Strong as an astronaut and like a much shorter version of that trailer, like more of just a teaser, I think I would have been even more excited. But I'm still going to be watching this regardless if I have the opportunity. Amanda, I know you like Mark Strong as well, but I didn't see necessarily a huge reaction from the trailer. You kind of were a little bit puzzled when you watched it. What did you think?
Mark Strong is my homie. I can get down on just about everything Mark Strong's in. I think that you're right, it didn't lean towards the teaser side. It was more like, hey, you want to know everything about this movie? Here you go. Now you're going to watch it? But it looked really intense. I don't know if it was too much like a Castaway vibe, where it's just Mark Strong the whole time talking to himself in a ship. But I want to know his motivations now. I'm like, okay, now I know what he did, what he was doing, but why? Like, why is he feeling that way? So I think I'm intrigued.
And for my last pick, I'm going to do something very similar to Dan. This is a film I knew nothing about when I was making my list of anticipated films. I actually had never even heard of this film until we were doing the fantasy draft. And Amanda, I think you had like 2 or 3 people come up where you said that they were in this film called Tulip Fever, and I'm like, I don't even know. Did you just make that up? Like, what is this going on? And seeing the trailer, though, I guess maybe I'm going to get suckered into this one because it's got a decent cast, and I actually liked what I saw from the trailer. It's got Alicia Vikander, it's got Dane DeHaan, Christoph Waltz. I think just seeing Christoph Waltz and Alicia Vikander kind of play off of each other is going to be entertaining. And I guess what's most intriguing to me is there's like 5 or 6 other A-list celebrities that are listed as being in the cast from this that don't even show up in the trailer. So I don't know if they're just playing very, very, very minor parts, but I'm interested to see how that all plays out. I think Jack O'Connell is listed in this. Your girl from your fantasy team, Kira, however you say her last name is Delevingne or whatever is in this film. I'm not necessarily. I think those types of period type pieces are very hit or miss, but I think it's got the right cast. So I'm on board for Tulip Fever. What did you think, Amanda?
Yeah, I wasn't really sure about it either, just hearing about it. But seeing the trailer and actually seeing these players that they've got, I'm on board.
And of course, it has. I don't know if it was the writer or some screenplay or what, but I know not a lot of people like to say too many good things about Shakespeare in Love because they feel like it took the spot of a different film that should have won Best Picture that year, but it has somebody that was involved with Shakespeare in Love is involved with this one as well, if I'm remembering my trailer right. Dan, any excitement for Tulip Fever?
I think it could be good. I don't know. Like you mentioned, wasn't the hugest fan of Shakespeare in Love. Like I could appreciate. I think it's a good movie, but it's just something maybe not for me. I found it a little too dry. So that's my worry. I don't know. Like I do like period pieces and historical fiction, but for whatever reason, like Victorian era, it's just, if I'm the wrong era, but those type of films for what don't always mesh with me. I just find them dull at times. So that's my only worry. But like you mentioned, the cast is really strong, and so it could be good. I feel like it might be a movie that I appreciate more than I enjoy. So,
all right. Fair enough. So that does it for Trailer Talk, unless somebody has one that they're dying to shout out. I do have to mention, I didn't want to waste one of my picks on it, but I do have to give my biggest nay of everything, but it should have been obvious for most people that this movie should be a nay for everybody before you even see the trailer, but I will just reiterate 9 Lives. Oh, yeah. And I would like to, whatever month that's coming out, I would like to pick that right now for my rotten pick, because that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen, and the trailer just made it even worse. So
I will say Jason Bourne looks awesome. So I didn't bring that up, but yeah, Jason Bourne looks like an awesome Jason Bourne movie. So I'm excited.
Yeah, that's what I wasn't sure with when we hadn't talked about Doctor Strange or Jason Bourne. I thought you might go with one of them, but I am 100% behind Jason Bourne. I just wrote down Back to Good. And like I said, cleanse the palate. We need a lot of that with certain movies, and we need to get whatever it was, the Legacy? Ultimatum? Which one was the bad one?
No, Ultimatum was the good one. Legacy was the bad one.
Yes, legacy. Get that taste out of our mouth and return to Matt Damon style. So I am 100% on board for that. Any last second chances, guys, for anything that you really wanted to talk about? Amanda?
Nope.
Matt, anything else?
Suicide Squad looks darker than the other trailer, which is weird with all the rewrites.
Yes, and we didn't even get into most of the second or third trailers, but there was a lot of stuff. Another trailer for Turtles, Suicide Squad, Warcraft, X-Men Apocalypse, Nice Guys, Kubo and the Two Strings. So there was a lot of trailers out there. So if you want to see any of those, just go to the website post and you can click on the links and watch those and give us your thoughts on those as well. All right, so that does it for Trailer Talk for this week. Nothing as far as news goes this week. There were some minor stories, but we don't want to go into them too much because we're running a little bit long. But I think probably the biggest one, Dan, that we could maybe briefly touch on is the continuation of turmoil in the DC cinematic universe with another director hitting the eject button.
Yeah, I think Flash lost its director, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so...
Yeah,
man.
I don't... I hope the answer to that is, okay, we'll just put Zack Snyder on it, but... yeah.
I don't understand why he keeps doing press and why he keeps doing interviews and allowing people to write articles about him, because every week he says something that's more moronic than the week before. And I don't know if you guys read his article about The Dark Knight, and like if he had done it, there would have been like a prison rape scene or something like that.
Yeah, that was actually an old interview that people brought back out, but yeah, so.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was the one that was way back when that they brought back out. But man, DC is in all kinds of. There was even rumors that James Wan was gonna. Is he the one that's doing Aquaman?
I think so. Yes. Yeah. He's the guy who did. He's the guy who did Sauce. Yeah. He's doing Aquaman.
There was even rumors that he was kind of thinking about ejecting as well and getting away from that film. So it's just a world of hurt, but we won't get into it too far because the internet has already had lots to say about those news stories. So coming out on Blu-ray this next Tuesday, not a lot. And Synchronicity, The Magnetic Monster from 1953, War and Peace, The Boy, Regression, Where to Invade Next, the documentary, Killjoy Season 1, Creative Control, and probably the biggest release for next Tuesday would be, of course, Deadpool. So it is already going to be available for people to pick up. As far as theater releases, we don't need to go over those because we talked about all of the May releases already, and we're starting right away with Captain America Civil War this weekend, and that will be the topic of our show when we come back next week. So we'll have some time to sit and to think about it and to hear everybody else do their reviews on it, and then we'll come back with the definitive answer on Captain America Civil War next week. Matt, your level of excitement for Captain America right now?
Pretty high. Yeah.
Amanda?
Yeah, I'm going to say that too. I hope I lose my shit at least a little bit.
Dan, level of excitement for Captain America Civil War, or are you just excited to see anything that's not including Superman?
I'm excited to see a comic book movie that doesn't involve Zack Snyder in prison rape, apparently. I'd go with a 9. Yeah, I'm super excited for it. So here we go.
I'm actually somewhat proud of how much I've stayed away from all news, rumors, and information regarding Captain America Civil War, because I actually don't even know who's on whose side, so I've stayed that far away from it. So I'm intrigued to...
Iron Man's with the North, so... Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay.
Sorry.
Well,
Whoa. Does that mean that Captain America is with the South?
No, the French, weirdly enough.
Okay.
Oh, man. So we'll be back next week to talk all about Captain America Civil War. For now, if you want to interact with the show, obviously the best way to do that is go to the website, geekcastradio.com, and find the episode post and go ahead and click on there. Also, just a kind of a disclaimer. If you're ever having troubles with your iTunes and finding the show, or on any podcast app that you are using, you can always go to the website and listen to it straight from the website. I know we've had some issues, and I want to apologize. It was out of our control, but our last episode was not available on any type of podcast app for at least the first however many days. So hopefully that's been straightened out, or is about to be straightened out. So we do apologize for that, but
hopefully you can still go to the website and listen to our first episode of the Miyazaki Spotlight in the Castle of Cagliostro. If you missed and you thought we took a week off, we didn't. It's been on the website all week, but we had a little delay getting it onto the actual Apple world, or however that works. We're just minions on this, and everybody else takes care of that. That's above us. So, but also you can follow us on Facebook. Just search out Geekcast Radio Network, and the best way to interact with us individually is through Twitter. The network is at Geekcast Radio. The show is at Cinema Geekcast. Amanda, your Twitter is?
Hard Candy Mandy, Eyes, No Eyes.
Mine is at Optimus Solo. Matt, yours is?
I'm at Fridley Scent.
And Dan?
I'm at Movie Revolt.
All right, that is it for us. Be sure to check in next week for another chance to listen to the Cinema Geeks as we venture into the world of Captain America: Civil War.